What if May's Brexit deal loses?
Labour would seek a final deal that gives full access to European markets and maintains the benefits of the single market and the customs union, as the Brexit Secretary David Davis promised in the House of Commons, with no new impediments to trade and no reduction in rights, standards and protections. We've long argued that a customs union is a viable option for the final deal. So Labour would seek to negotiate a new, comprehensive UK-EU customs union to ensure there are no tariffs with Europe and to help avoid any need whatsoever for a hard border in Northern Ireland.
You may think that Theresa May's deal is in a race against time against no deal, but actually there are a number of other battles going on, the most likely of which involves the UK staying in a customs union because both the Labour Party and the House of Lords want that to happen.
The ayes to the right, 301. The noes to the left, 307.
And there it was, by 6 votes, the government just swerved what would have been a hammer blow to its Brexit plan, an amendment that sought to tie it to a customs union in the event of no deal. For those in charge of trade after Brexit, relief.
In May, peers in the House of Lords voted to stay in the European Union's economic area, but it was the Commons who rejected it. But there has been talk of a Norway-style deal, which means being part of the European Free Trade Area. Therefore, following a set of customs rules which Norway, Iceland, Liechtenstein and Switzerland follow, and having free trade with those 4 countries.
The agreement costs Norway a lot of money. 391 million euros go to the EU each year. That is almost as much per head as Great Britain pays today.
Only the UK gets full membership in return. Britain in the EU is currently a lawmaker. Norway is a law taker.
A law taker that receives on average 5 new EU directives per day, which must be implemented, no questions asked. Researcher Jan-Erik Grindheim keeps a folder of all the legal directives from Brussels. He calls it the EU Bible.
We have implemented more than 10,000 rules and regulations from Brussels. As a voter, I would like my Prime Minister, my Minister of Transport, whatever, to sit in Brussels together with all the others and decide my future. We have given it all away. That's why Britain could never join such an agreement as we have.
But it means being bound to asking them to be able to make trade deals outside that union.
Well, I'm always very cautious about advising other countries on what they should do. And what we take note of is Britain's very firm stance on not wanting to become an EEA member, not wanting to become an EFTA member. And of course, our economies are very different, as you pointed out. At the same time, if the UK should change their stance and their position on this, of course, we will discuss that.
Senior Norwegian politicians rejected the idea that the UK could be part of the Union because those countries all have to agree to regulations coming from the EU. So if one country vetoes something, they all have to veto. For example, Liechtenstein, with 38,000 people, could veto a regulation the UK wants. So that rules that option out. But if May's deal is rejected, as expected, it would most likely be because of the Irish backstop, which needs a free border on the island of Ireland. So why not no deal, I hear you ask? Well, the House of Commons could end up ruling out that by the time this video gets uploaded.
Inconceivable that we should crash out of Europe with no deal. It would be a national disaster. That is why, if Parliament votes down a Tory deal, or the government fails to reach any deal at all, we would press for a general election.
Plus, there's the fact that it would create further uncertainty about many areas of the UK, not just Northern Ireland, which leads us back to somehow renegotiating a deal which the EU says can't be renegotiated. The only way to open up the deal is to extend Article 50.
What is clear is that any extension to Article 50, anything like that, reopens the negotiations, reopens the deal. And at that point, the deal can go, frankly, in any direction.
The only other way to keep an open border in Ireland is to remain in the single market and a customs union. Unless both the UK and the EU can work out a period of time to negotiate an alternative solution, such as one that involves technological checks. But it's more likely that the opposition parties will constantly work against the incumbent government until they can reach a deal which keeps the UK in a customs union and possibly a single market as well. But the Tories can always argue that's not what the British people voted for in 2016, which brings us to a parliamentary impasse and either a general election or a second referendum. But here's hoping. If the Northern Ireland backstop is the main issue stopping MPs from passing the withdrawal agreement, that over the coming weeks, EU will give in and offer MPs the power to either implement the backstop or end the backstop should trade negotiations fail. But do you agree with me? Join in the debate below and subscribe.